Good day, South Africans. This has been our moment that we have been waiting for all this time. For now, at last, adopting our policies so that POA can work and make sure that South Africans, especially ordinarily South Africans, can have hope, faith onto something that will make this country a better place. But before we can start with the business of the day, I'll first like to greet everyone from our ground forces, the Green Army ground forces across South Africa. We know that you are watching in 2,100 branches that we have. They are now watching now, as we can see, and we are grateful for your passion and your patience that you have been waiting so hard to see this day come through. But because of what is happening in our country now, you couldn't be here with us or participate in this process or sending your delegation to make sure that your voices are heard through this adoption of POA policies. As we go through, again, POA has been through thick and thin. As a movement, we've seen tribulations, but those tribulations didn't put us down. It made us even stronger. We are what we are today because of the process that we had to go through. It will never deter us. It will never take us down. Without going any further, I'd like us to have a moment of silence in order we can start opening this session. The moment of silence, it's a prayer in a way where we remember those who perished through this devilish satanic virus that has been imposed onto the world. We'll take just a few seconds, then from there we'll proceed. We may do so. Thank you. We are going to move as the program has been set, and I'm going to drive that program until we get to the end of this broadcasting. We have a guest who's going to speak. We have speakers from our movement who will be putting forward their remarks. We'll be putting what POA is and what made them to be part of POA. And POA, it is what it is today because of them. And as we move forward, we cannot leave our guest who has been patiently waiting for this day. But because of we could not extend it further beyond today, since the date was set months and months and months ago, we just thought this is the day that this must just go on as planned. Our guest speaker, which is Mr. Mashiane, our prince in Lokaneng, will be saying remarks and thanking us as South Africans and those who are members of POA. As we move down the stream, we'll have our organizer who will be putting forward her remarks as the job for today. It is this day because of her tremendous spirit that has pushed forward to this day. From there, we'll have a TG, our Treasurer General, who will be saying few words based on the finances of the movement up until this date. And prospectively, moving to the future, how is it going to be like? As we move down, we'll have our head of policy, who will be putting forward everything that is on the documentation that we are going to adopt today and making sure that every South African out there is listening to what POA stands for and the policies of POA and the values that POA stand by. Lastly, our constitution. In closing, we'll have the president who will be now lamenting everything, cementing everything that has been said, and in addition, paving a way for us, leading us, that like he has done so before. ever since the inception of this movement back in 2017, when it was just a concept at the time. Now, giving a brief of what the movement is and what it stands for. POA was founded at the time where a concept was just dropped into our president. Because he's a man who believes or who doesn't eat for himself. He eats for everyone else. He put the team together to make sure that the movement is realized in 2017. As it went by in 2018, between 2018 and 2019, we tried to see and make sure that the electoral system recognizes us. We went through the by-election so that we know that our mark is felt. It's just a signature at the time. Now the signature has transformed to what it is today. It has moved with the speed of light since we have seen the recent happenings, mentioning that of the president of Action SA who tried his luck to take what has been created through the masses, or can I say, the brains behind Party of Action. I'll just give a brief of myself before we can just roll on with the business of the day. I'm sure that many of you are aware, especially the honored South Africans out there. My name is Obake Magale. I became the spokesperson of Party of Action, not by accident. It was an intention that happened through the universe. In my upbringing, I was told that I was a boy who was very, very, very shy. And I bought into that. But buying into that, I've realized this is not what I am. But because I adopted what I was told as a young boy, that I was for myself. I kept myself, everything around me to me. But through primary school, I realized that this is not it, because I engaged more in debate. I could debate a team of 5 people through that time. Then it went up to high school, where again, it was a tussle with the teachers. I wasn't a person who was quiet, after all, as the family and my colleagues or those I grew up with, my friends, could say that you're a very quiet person. But now, after seeing that, why am I so engaged in discussions, arguments, if I'm a quiet person? Moving forward, let me just go back to where I come from. It's a big village, if I can so put it, back in a town called Lichtenburg in the northwest, in the municipality of Ditsobotla. There's a village there, a huge one, it's called Budibe. There's a section where I grew up from Ditwane. I don't know why they called it the Ditwane, but it is what it is. I grew up from that area until I was in grade 4. That's where everything started to turn, in grade 4. Now, a quiet person is now being transformed to something that is no more quiet. He is engaging from old to small. Fast forward to matric, I engaged through each and every session I had in class with the teacher. The teacher wouldn't just go out without me engaging that particular teacher. To be precise, there was a teacher who was teaching science at the time. She was so brilliant, but there was something that she was unable to prove in her teachings. And then I grilled her on that. From that day, we became friends and we started a group of debaters right in high school. But that group didn't manifest into anything because of when you are surrounded with people who are not feeling what you feel or have the passion that you do have everything that you do just fall off. Then from schooling in high school, then I went to tertiary, where I was pushed to go through that process. It wasn't of my own doing or my own initiative. I dropped out because there was something eating me. This is not my forte. This is not my environment. I dropped out. I started to look for work. Getting a job, I would last max 3 weeks in a job. I couldn't keep a job. In the past 15 years, I had more than 20 jobs. The longest that I worked was in a company in Rustenburg, a mining company, where I at least lasted for 3 years, at least. So from a person who couldn't keep a job for 3 weeks, kept a job for as long as 3 years. For the reason I left my last employment was because of the very same thing that has been driving me all along. Being forced to do something that is not even prescribed in your contract. That was my problem. Then I realized I'm not built to have a job. I'm built to work. My work is what I do now. Then POA just fall on my lap. Through grace, I guess, or through the universe speaking to me, telling me exactly what I am. I didn't hesitate. I took the opportunity at the time. That was last year. Now POA is my home, and I belong because I'm surrounded with like minds to see progress in everything that they do, see everything that is happening within our surroundings happen moving forward. Everything that we do, it is meant to be realized. So now that's my story, why I came to be what I am today in this movement, Party of Action. Now, as we mentioned that we have a guest, which we will give a speech or a remark. In a short moment, we will extend that invitation to him, and then he'll come forth and say his remarks on what POA is or what is in his heart. Because there's a difference between what is in a person's mind and in his heart. His heart, I don't mean the pamper of the blood. I mean everything that is made to be what he is today. I'll just like to call Mr. Mashiani to come forth and say his remarks. He's our prince, though, in a village in Limpopo, Lokaning. So without wasting any further time, I'd like to extend that invitation to him, and then he'll come and say his remarks. I'd like to welcome you, Mr. Mashiani.
I am greeting you in the name of peace, beneficent and merciful, in the name of God, of Moses and the Torah, Jesus Christ and the Gospel, the Saint Agnes and the Holy Spirit. Assalamu alaikum. That is Arabic words we translate in English means peace unto you. Khoso aibelele na Afrika. Mr. President of POA, Deputy President of POA, the General Secretary of the organization, treasurer, members, church leaders, people in homeland who are watching, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Africa as a whole, South Africa, as we're talking today, Raparetikiliru. And our hope, Hore, that we can get the best remedy to heal this wound of pandemic is to come together as one and support the young lions, the young party. As you can see, we have POA as the party, and when you look at it, you can look at it as young people, but the brains they have is not as young as they look. The people at home in Africa and other political organizations who are listening, I am standing here before you, but the most important I'm going to talk about is the leadership. When we talk leadership, precisely we talk in the leadership looking at the most political organization in our country. I'm not going to talk much thing except talking about the leadership. When I'm talking about the leadership, I'm going to talk about what the leadership is. Because the PO as a political party, sooner or later, they will be having seats in one of the legislature, including the government of Republic of South Africa. South Africa, the time is now. When I say I'm going to talk about the leadership, I'm going to talk much about the integrity. I'm going to talk about the cast or vision. I'll talk about use of influence. I'll also talk about use of power. Praise your team, self-awareness, listen first and speak last, and empathy. That is the most important ways that the organization should actually lead. POA. The POA, ladies and gentlemen, the POA is a party of the young lions. The POA, it may look young, but it's not that young as it looked, as I just said that before. I've been watching them, their work, their expertise. Guess what? They are doing such a superb job one has never seen. So for that, I will say South Africa POA is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. They are going for local elections. They will be in the national elections. Remember that people is the people who will give you power to rule. Without people, you can never rule any country or any village. You need to work with people. So POA, he is willing and prepared to work with the community in South Africa and Africa at large in the world. South Africa, I'm not going to be too long. I'm not going to be the spokesperson of this party, but I know Mishumo ya party. I know their works. That is why I've been invited to come here to have some few words. And also, when we're going to talk about this pandemic, the coronavirus, people saying, "Hunale coronavirus." Yes, there is bolwetsi bo bona. South Africa, sepedi sere, ge o ka loma ke selwana seswana, o tla tšhaba le meokolodi. The president of the country loudly said, on Monday, there will be 100 of vaccine coming in this country. Yes, we heard him saying that. But when we look back where South Africa is coming from, I will always take you back to the apartheid era. And I will always remind you, how did we work with the regime during apartheid? We had polio, we had koto, we had masipela ayemi. There were malweki, there were disease. Those disease in this country, we have managed to fight and to get the remedy to heal those diseases with the regime, the apartheid government. We had never crossed the border and go and ask people to help us to heal those. What makes our government today to go abroad and get the vaccine to heal this coronavirus without asking the people of this country, South Africa and Africa? And when we criticize them, they say, no, but how can they do that? They don't know that coronavirus is dangerous. It will kill them. For that, let me remind you, Mr. President, and I'll repeat again, let's talk the history of 1932. Between 1932 and 1972 in America, the Department of Health injected the black Americans, the people of color, intentionally with, I forget the name will come. They injected them, saying, do you have polio? Do you have polio? Let's inject you. Let's do this. They inject them with the wrong vaccine, intentionally knowing that each and every woman in America, when he gives birth, he must die because of the population. They said, no, the black people in America, they're too much. The population of these people, you know why? They did it intentionally with syphilis injection to inject them. And the people were dying. The people, they go to hospital, miscarriage, some they come crippled. That is why we say, are you sure this vaccine is going to help the entire nation with this coronavirus? If yes, who is going to start first? I close that one. I don't want to go deeper in that one. But I will say myself, as I'm standing here before you, South Africa, I will say no to vaccine. And for that, before I conclude and say goodbye, beautiful South Africans, I like to say to you, I'm going to read the book of Isaiah. Is helpful votes. We call it helpful votes. The book of Isaiah says, please take note where you are, because it's very important. It says, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Hallelujah. South Africa, if you can listen to these words very carefully, that vaccine is coming tomorrow. It's not going to be bigger than the prayer we have as South Africans. And with our prayer, we will beat coronavirus. And don't forget, the POA, he is the messenger to you. Sooner or later, they will knock to your doors, to your home, advising and talking to you about the same thing we say no to it. South Africa, people at home, friends, those who know me maybe, I like to say to you, thank you very much for giving this opportunity, for listening to me. The last thing I can say to you, I will say, which is important, South Africa, POA, the government of the country, knowledge speaks, but wisdom listens. No to vaccine. Assalamu alaikum.
Re leboge mantswe a thotloetso go tswa go the prince. Re leboge thata ebile ke rata fela go gatisetsa mo mantsweng a beileng a gore o ka nna wa di utlwa tsotlhe kapa wa dira tsotlhe mme botlhale ke gore o utlwisise. Ha o utlwile o utlwisisitse ke na le tshepo e tletseng ya gore ha ntse go etsagalang ka mo ga o kitla bile o reetsa sepe ka montle ka gore o informed o utlwile o utlwisisitse. Ha go te go nna le se se tshang ga o ka kwa tlola o tla tsola sentle o iketlile ka gore o utlwisisitse. Lentswe la haela mafelo la ga the prince ke le rata ha re no to vaccine. Ibile re ipua khatso. We are going to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat until it's enella mo kelelong. Ka re ga gona sepe se le gore se bola motho jaaka le tshogo. A person is destroyed because of fear. Fear. That's the most dangerous thing a person can be taken out with. Our next speaker will be our organizer. Just like to say a few words about the organizer because of these leaders that I'm surrounded by are people of substance, people who listens because of POA said this at its onset. We do not want people who think they know. We don't want people who know. We want people who want to know, who want to learn, who are willing to learn, so that we can come together and share those ideas and make sure that our country moves forward. Our organizer has done a tremendous job making sure that this day is possible. It is what it is today because of her. Ke a go mo fa sebakanyana fela gore le ene a bue mantswe a mabedi a mararo e re morago ga mo be re go go legatong le lengwe mo le gore ra go utlwa sentle gore lenaane la tsa ditšhelete la Party of Action le eme ka mokgontseng jang. Ke a go bitsa fano our organizer comrade Maria Malele o ka tla wa tla go ba mabedi a mararo.
Thank you, spokesperson, my president, Bilinyaku, leaders of POA, members of POA, honorable guests, and program director. I greet you all. Modimo rona wa phela. Who would have thought POA could make it this far? Without wasting time, let me hit the nail with the hammer. My name is Maria Malele, national organizer of POA. I was born in Sebokeng, and it's part of Emfuleni municipality, which is currently in intensive care unit due to poorest service delivery in the history of local governance. As POA national organizer, I'm responsible for general overseeing of organizing, with specific focus on the establishment, development of branches, and all POA structures liaising with professional executive committees. When I'm on the ground executing organizational work, I often tell new members of POA that as South African, we aspire to work together and the talking time and focus on action that will lead South Africa to economic prosperity and eradicate poverty in all its forms. It is a fact that POA promotes ethical leadership, seek to become a transparent, non-corrupt, and responsive governance. Comrade, our membership database is growing on and alarming. I am a Christian, and at some point, I feel like God has his hands on POA and guide it to be where it is supposed to be today. I feel blessed to be part of POA. As an ambitious woman, I believe that we must power the way for the young, ambitious youth by installing the following. Okay, good education, economic, health, and land policy. The primary aim here is to end poverty, unemployment, and inequality. I'm a natural hard worker and always strive to achieve set goals. POA is here to stay. It is blessed with hard-working leaders who want all South Africans and any state that form part of African Union to have a bright future. And as a POA member, I say no to vaccine. I thank you. Kopano ke matla. Amandla. Thank you.
Re leboga go menagane comrade organizer we beile wa ba wa ibeya ebile ga wa isenyetsa le nako le seng re leboge go nna matsato ga gago re batla gore we'd like to encourage all who are watching us at home through your headset your PCs, please share our button of this live feed because this is history in making. South Africa will never be the same again once we hit the ground or once we hit the polling stations come August this year. Our next speaker, as I was highlighting earlier on, our Treasurer General will just come now where he'll just give also a vote of thanks and remarks as he sees them since we are an organization of brains. We don't need those who will just sit around at the background and pushing us, not doing anything. The contributory state is where we are at. Mr. Treasurer General, you can just approach the floor.
Sandubingelela to our president, the POA leaders, and our guest speaker, Mr. Mashiane, and our members of the POA. Viva POA, viva. Long live POA, long live. Long live the spirits of Pilinyaku, long live. Okay. My name is Qiniso Buthelezi, and I am the National Treasurer of the POA. I am very humbled and honored to be standing here today, assuming this role, which has a very huge responsibility for the organization. Growing up, I have always had an interest in the current affairs of the world and had so much ideas and opinions on how and what could be done better. But I just didn't know which platform to use. So until I met Billy Nyako, which is the president of the POA, who helped me build a burning interest into politics. He told me that this is the platform which will grow my intellect and build me in terms of political views and will be able to partake in political affairs of the country and help different communities with service delivery. POA has come a very long way and we pride ourselves with all the hard work and outstanding efforts each and everyone has contributed for us to have achieved a lot in such a short space with restrained budget. We thank the Lord for being on our side as we are going to be the biggest revolutionary organization which intends to bring about economic change and growth. So let me just go back to the history of our South Africa. In 2008 to 9, South Africa's economy went into recession for the very first time in 19 years, which caused a job loss of millions, and a lot of people were left unemployed. And the rate of unemployment was 25%. This was a very difficult time for South Africans. Most of the underprivileged were inflicted with poverty, which is one of the challenges we as a country are still faced with today. So through our economic policy, we want to eradicate the poverty by ensuring employment, innovation, and increasing the productivity in our citizens. For example, POA is the only party that strives for district banks through democratization of the banking system, which will fund local businesses and grow the local economy. Che Guevara once said, I quote, "Poverty is a parent of two things. It's either it gives birth to a criminal or a revolutionist. We need to become a revolutionist in order to implement the change we want to see as the country. It is no doubt that the country is indebted humongously and we are in a dire financial state. POA has implemented a consensus of what needs to be done. That is why in our economic policy, we want South Africa to create national wealth through our sovereign fund by generating our own income from primary activities such as mining into a wealth fund with the objective to create our own cash reserves to invest in highly potential industries globally and also have funds available in case of shocking crisis. We started this year in the midst of an economic crisis, one we have never been or seen before. That is why we as a country need to implement financial arguments. POA has adopted support for high potential local industries and SMMEs in our policies, which subjects to entrepreneurial and SMMEs support, which have shown potential growth in our local economy. The development in local households, POA has been engaging with local potential investors to fund the organization and also has partaken in a few activities for fundraising purposes. For example, political campaigns and selling POA merchandise, just to mention a few. So in conclusion, I would like all South Africans to stand up now and be the change that they want to see through POA's policies, programs, and actions. Our party has opened a door for young and old, educated and uneducated, to come in and map out a bright future, and every one of us, and that of the next generation. So ngithanda ukubonga kakhulu for this opportunity given. Unity is power and kupano kimandla. Amandla, I thank you.
Very thankful for the outline in terms of how POA will be running and how it has run till this day in terms of finances and making sure that the economy that we are faced with now, it can be turned around. As your last words was said, let us all stand up and be counted. This is the message that we have said through and through. We cannot expect changes whereas you are not part of those changes. We encouraged each and every single South African out there, be part of the change that you want to see. If uzohlala ekhoneni, the song was saying, uzothola kanjani uhleli ekhoneni. And that's not just a song that means nothing. It's a song that was carefully crafted in order to portray exactly what's happening if you are not going to do anything. We are still emphasizing this and we will always emphasize this. Don't just sit. There's something that you do have inside of yourself You don't know it yet because of you sitting down doing nothing. Do something and be part of that change. Lastly, we advise everyone who's watching this live feed now, share this live feed and save it, because of one day, not long from now, you'll remember this word. We are going to change the political landscape of South Africa. The lady that I'm going to call now, or the comrade, who is very fierce and astute, she had made sure that this policy document that she's going to recite, it is what it is. She has fought tooth and nail, pushed us around, making sure that everything is in place and it is ready for South Africans to hear it. The time she will be coming on to the podium and making sure that South Africans know exactly what our policies are. This comrade Gugu Letumazibugo, she had made sure that this is what it is today. And this is the moment that all South Africans and the whole world has been waiting for. What exactly is the policies of POA? So now, don't wait any longer, because of our head of policy will just come and outline exactly what our policies mean and what they stand for. I'd like to call upon Comrade Guguletu Mazibuko, our head of policy.
Leaders of POA, Billy Nyaku, our president, Teresa Nyaku Nkuna, our national chairperson, Obakeng Magele, our national spokesperson, Qinise Buthelezi, our national treasurer, Maria Malele, our national organizer, and the rest of POA leaders across the country, our honorable guests and all members and supporters of the Party of Action, which is properly known within political context as POA or POA. I am greeting you all. What a great time it is to actually be alive right now. My name is Guguletu Mazibuko, and I am the head of policy of POA. I'm honored beyond words to be part of this glorious movement that is loved by young and the old citizens. In our country, South Africa, there's a bottom line of 90% by income and wealth of people who earn lower than the living wage, suffering and with clearest signs of deprived dignity. Majority of these people are my people, the Black South Africans. Currently, there is no political party in South Africa that represents disadvantaged people. Not previously disadvantaged people. I want to put more emphasis on this. Disadvantaged people, not previously disadvantaged people, because nothing has changed. Even after apartheid, the ruling party has failed to improve quality of life of its own people, but instead has managed to make it even worse. I joined the Party of Action because it gave me a platform to be the change I want to see in the entire nation through hard work and intelligence. Me and my fellow comrades through POA aim to eradicate poverty in all its forms and make all citizens to be contributors to our economy in all government spheres and be able to drive South Africa forward. Without any further ado, I would like to read through the value statement of POA. Right action for the right reasons using the right methods. All industrial engineers would actually understand this sentence. Any decision or action of POA or by any member shall be in favor of uplifting the quality of life of the poor and aimed at achieving equality, human dignity, and self-reliance by all households and individuals in South Africa and within the African Union. All decisions shall be right in that they favor the elimination of poverty in all its forms across the entire nation. However, every decision and action must be fully compliant with all laws and all codes of good governance applicable in the African Union and under the United Nations, and all outputs and outcomes shall also be right as verified by the overwhelming majority of the citizens or members of POA. All members shall be competent and properly qualified for their work and exercise due care and skill in all the work that they do. All policies, programs, and actions of POA shall be based on empirical evidence and scientific logic and easily verifiable by the ordinary masses of South Africa. Now I'm coming to the engine of the organization, the policies of POA that were developed by great minds of POA and those of academics who aspire to see a change in South Africa that will ensure economic prosperity for all citizens and complete eradication of poverty and attainment of equality. I would like to begin with the health policy, as we all know that we are actually attacked by coronavirus, which I believed was engineered. But anyway, the health policy of POA goes as forward. The essence of all public policy is always to produce and maintain a healthy and productive citizen in all life stages, and with no exclusion or discrimination based on economic status, social class, religion, gender, ethnic background, or price of health care services. Healthcare will thus be based on universal access. Frugal innovation designed to provide the best quality of healthcare to the largest number at the lowest cost, and the elimination of all wastage and avoidable disease burdens. It will be deliberate policy to provide the best quality healthcare at the lowest per capita cost for all citizens through the frugal innovation and lean management methods. The state will be the only sponsor and payer for all healthcare, including all aspects of prevention and reduction of non-communicable diseases and the reduction of the financial and economic disease burden of chronic ailments, including obesity, hypertension, diabetes, alcoholism, tobacco addiction, and other substance abuses. Training, education, and development of all healthcare personnel, including nurses, technicians, doctors, healthcare managers, and researchers. Promotion of wellness in all institutions, all of them, including all levels of schooling, education, and training. All workplaces and in all social and religious institutions, such that health and wellness is embedded in South African culture, which is currently not embedded since there are a lot of restrictions currently in our country. Promotion and provision of healthcare across the entire reproductive lifestyle, prenatal care, infant and child nutrition and development, youth health development, and the integration of health and wellness in the day-to-day development of all human beings. Master and provide preventative medicine as a point of departure for all aspects of healthcare from cradle to grave. Aggressively develop the best quality and lowest cost advanced technology in healthcare system, processes, and methods. So in order for us to have this health policy, we'll have to have the most sustainable educational system, which actually leads me to my next policy. Our educational policy. The principal aim of the educational system will be to create citizens who who can cope successfully with the day-to-day demand of life. Be creative, innovative, and independent thinkers and actors, participating actively in all matters of governance. Not the government deciding for citizens, but people must be able to interact with the government since it's democracy, not dictatorship. The true measure of success of any learner or graduate will be the quality of their contribution to the arts, innovation, and invention, and to the overall improvement of the quality of their contribution to the arts. It makes no sense for people to graduate and stay at home. Why? Innovation and invention, and to the overall improvement of quality of life of their city, province, and nation. The philosophy of education in student-centered approach to education, training and education. Okay, so I've got a number of bulletins that we need to read thoroughly here. They go as follows. Education and its requirements will start with the care of pregnant mothers so that a birth child has enough capacity for further development. So we need to train our pregnant women that they cannot be drinking or smoking while they are pregnant. It affects their newborn babies. Early childhood development will be based on learning through play and take the all-round happiness, welfare, and academic progress of the child. All children and youth will have open career paths that entail opportunities for further education and training to the highest level with no dead-end learning pathways. It makes no sense for anyone to go to school and be unproductive. It makes no sense at all. All learning and teaching will seek to inculcate capacity for self-reliance, independent through thought and action, innovation and invention, as well as broad perspectives on creativity and beauty, balance physical science, technology, and the arts. Education will be based on universal access to accessibility, affordable and high-quality education in all towns and districts. Universal access to education, training, and development will be state-sponsored and based on eliminating waste of resources and continuous improvement of quality and value added to each learner. All education, training, and development will support principles of lifelong learning, mid-career retraining, and full employment of all people of all ages. Research will be entrenched as a basic skill at all levels of education, training, and development. State-owned education will be premier education, training, and development provider in South Africa. Local communities will have direct participation in all educational processes with good governance and the rule of law paramount. Which leads me to my next policy, which is land ownership and use policy. According to 2011, estimates 79.4% of South Africa's land is agricultural land. The current use of the agricultural land is 9.9%, is arable land. 0.3% is used for permanent crops. 69.2% are permanent pastures. The remainder of the land is forest, which constitutes 7.6%, and 13% of land is used for industry, infrastructure, and housing. The purpose of the land ownership and use policy is to promote the most ecologically sustainable, productive, and efficient use of the land and smart technologies to stimulate the growth, labor-intensive agricultural and eco-tourism industries, to increase income and encourage even income distribution, and to reconcile current land ownership and use with the plan for redistribution, restitution, and reform. There needs to be a paradigm shift in our conceptualization of land. That is a capital that can be used to alleviate food insecurity, unemployment, poverty, lack of labor productivity, overcrowding in urban areas because there is currently an underutilization of land. In addition, there is a backlog of redress in land ownership in South Africa, and many land disputes are ongoing. There are vast amounts of land that still needs to be redistributed to their rightful owners. Land tenure rights must be restored, and the racially biased pattern of land ownership must be addressed with redistribution. Therefore, the land ownership and use policy aims to address the past and current social, cultural, and economic ills associated to land and to employ strategies of the best use of the land. So our land ownership and use policy has the following pillars. Strategy to exit the land reform, redistribution, and reinstitution process, and to make it fairer and more just. The combination of the state and the market involvement in the land market balances the need for the government to achieve transformation and development in favor of PDPs and market-providing disciplines to ensure correct pricing in a willing seller, willing buyer arrangement. The current redistribution framework perpetuates inequality by favoring black economic elite. The current estimated redistribution of farmland from white to black owners is at 9.7%, whereas to have reached by now is 30% of commercial farmland within the first 5 years. Furthermore, the acceptable redistribution rate is not representative of even distribution according to the demographics of the country. Rather, it is an estimate of the prospective land claims. Land redistribution for diverse objectives. Land redistribution for agriculture does not provide the employment and cash income as soon as expected. Rather, there is a 3 to 4 year turnaround time before per capita consumption of basic and productive goods increases by 50%. Therefore, there is a need for provisions to make farming and associated value chains more efficient. There is a need to de-emphasize large-scale or commercial farming-based models to create space for small-holding farmers, small-scale farmers to enter the space because it is capital-intensive. Maintaining large living standards of the poor to rise as much as small-scale farming. To do this, we need a labor-intensive orientated agricultural industrial policy. This will facilitate more job creation in which people can acquire skills on the job. Therefore, is a need to adopt inclusive agricultural business models. The emphasis on redistribution of land solely for agriculture and for good production has resulted in disappointment when white landowners sell land that is unsuitable for agricultural in terms of fertility and lack of infrastructure, water, and technology. In addition, other possible uses for the land are overlooked, such as ecotourism, land space to build other labor-intensive industries such as clothing and textiles. Natural land is essential for ecological sustainability. Therefore, there must be a careful balance. Land ownership and use policy should find leapfrog solutions by looking to the international community for examples. The government must not endeavor to use other countries' agricultural success to guide and craft South African success. Israel has got extensive experience which it shares with South African small-scale farmers. Also, in instances where there is no water, limited fertilizer, and other farming tools, there is so that South Africa can feed its own citizens. The government should use multilateral and bilateral platforms to gain access to the international market, as well as create the infrastructure to competitively feed the nation. Government should consider the impact of climate change and how to incorporate green technology and sustainable development in land reform. Fostering unity through addressing injustices of the past. Skewed ownership structure is still perpetuated by the current reform structures. There are white farm owners and black equity shareholders workers. There is minimal transformation of ownership of this means. There are less chances of reconciliation and unification of the agricultural industry. Creating a sustainable and tenable plan. Currently, the state is using internal budgets to pay beneficiaries of land claims and administration and legal services to facilitate land reform. The budget and resources are inadequate for the task at hand. The current aim is to reverse the legacy of land disposition through the orderly process and land restitution, land redistribution, and land tenure reform. However, there is also a need to address the current and future need for land to improve household welfare, elevate poverty, economically uplift the rural poor, and underpin economic growth. Therefore, the land policy must be interlinked with policies which serve common objectives. Okay. So now I'm going to read the last policy that ties up all these policies together, which is the economic policy. The economic policy will have the central objective of eradicating poverty by ensuring full employment, innovation, and increasing the productivity of all citizens. Long-term inequality will be reduced by ensuring that all households own immovable property and productive assets, including all forms of land and family-owned businesses. This will in turn be buttressed by our policy pillar of economy. Stable financial and monetary system. The South African Reserve Bank shall facilitate a stable financial and monetary system that actively supports growing job creation, and economic growth. GDP growth to range between 5 and 11% per annum. This will include supporting the democratization of the banking system and creation of robust district-level banks that can fund local economic growth in the districts across the nation, as our National Treasurer stated. District banks shall be a mixture of private and state shareholders and run based on aggressive but highly skilled ventures per capita. In broad terms, the interest rates will be set in such a way that they support GDP growth of 5 to 11% per annum. Principally, interest rates shall be lower than GDP growth rate. African continent-wide system of innovation, supporting and leading the creation of an African continent-wide system of innovation that will ensure that Africa is leading in the creation of all products, services, and infrastructure, and it needs for integrated, fast-growing intracontinental trade. rapid industrialization, and competitive international exports. This includes the creation and adoption of sustainable technologies and methods across all industries, including green energy, biofuels, water conservation, and circular economy where waste is prevented or reused. Support for high potential local industries, SMEs, entrepreneurial ventures, value chains, and supply chain. Supporting high potential local industries, SMEs, entrepreneurial ventures, value chains, and supply chain, where locals have shown aptitude and fondness of the industry, trade, or profession. Putting local SMEs at the center of state-driven economic growth and development, which empowers local households. This includes developing local value chains and supply chains that are well funded by the district banks to have capacity to supply local demand, but also to gear up for continental and international trade. All districts must have export capabilities to other districts and internationally. Creation of a sovereign wealth fund, creation of national wealth through sovereign fund. South Africa will need to marshal its income from primary activities such as mining into a wealth fund with the objective of diversifying the local economies of mining towns and provinces, creating its own cash reserves to be able to invest in emerging high potential industries globally and always be on standby to cushion the nation from various economic shock. Taxation. The state will impose taxes in order to address wealth inequality, to fund high quality services on equal terms for all residents, including schools, labor training and development, healthcare, government services, utilities, and other services needed to sustain a decent standard for living for all citizens and on equal terms. To ameliorate the effects of unemployment, to achieve full employment. As we know that currently in our country, this is a dream. Constitution of POA Constitution is as the head organization, and everybody who is here today knows that. I will only go through the preamble of the POA's constitution. Party of Action is a political party established to make South Africa a true non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, prosperous, and progressive state. Party of Action should adopt radical and militant approach in addressing long-standing social, economic, and political problems, which are poverty, diseases, poor leadership, heritage, illiteracy, corruption, high unemployment and low wages, anarchy, culture, crime, etc., that continue to make South Africa and Africa not developed. POA is a left movement that under any circumstances stands opposed to elitist economy that seeks to widen the gap between the rich and the poor. Our party will combat two-headed monster, capitalism and racism, with any means necessary as it cements existing exploitation of the previously deprived majority. Not previously, they are still deprived. Restoration of the dignity of the deprived majority shall be made possible by the government of POA. POA as a revolutionary socialist movement positions itself as a true champion of a broad South African society that will be able to provide equal opportunity for all. POA is proudly Sankarist movement that seeks to achieve de-racialized economy. It draws inspiration from Marxist-Leninist and Fanonian schools of thought of its analysis of state, imperialism, and class contradictions in every society. Okay. Last but not least, we're going to go through what people are actually waiting for, our manifesto. Right. So we are going for 2021 local government elections, and POA will be on ballot paper. Manifesto is of paramount importance in elections campaigns. POA has developed one, and it reads as follows. The POA seeks to build a nation of empowered citizens who know how to get things done, working together with accountable, competent, and results-driven leaders. We need accountable leadership. Auditor General releases multiple audit results under the theme, "Not much to go around, yet not the right hands at the till." Kim Makwetu today released the audit outcomes for local government for the period of 2018 to 2019. He entitled this report, "Not Much to Go Around, Yet Not the Right Hands at the Till," reflect the state of financial management in local government. This was recorded in 2020, July the 1st. POA recognizes that all things rise or fall based on leadership at council level and also within senior and middle management of municipalities. Hence, POA adopts the recommendations of the AGSA as a key mandate to achieve good results in all municipalities. Create a stable leadership that is committed to a strong control environment and effective governance. Senior and middle management shall be retained based on merit and consistent superior performance regardless of political affiliation. The municipal council, management, and community leaders shall make sure that there is alignment between election manifesto, the true needs of the community, and the IDP, budget and SDBIP of each municipality. Thus, election promises must be carried out through a ward-based credible IDP. Ensure continuous monitoring and correction of all previous and current audit findings to eradicate irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure and improve internal controls within the municipality. All cases of theft and general malfeasance will be referred to the SAPS and other suitable agencies for further corrective action without fear or favor. So we will all be equal in the law, regardless whether you're in power or not. Leaders and senior managers will adhere to a philosophy of using each rand to serve the greatest number, eliminate wastage of resources, and continuously improve the quality of all services. Cartel government wasteful and fruitless expenditure. Government employee wastage constitutes a third of government expenditure, and a report from the OECD reports that South African public servants are among the highest paid in the world. Yet, service delivery remains poor in our country. Since 2006 to 2007, average public service remuneration has increased at a faster pace than per capita GDP and is now 4.7 times larger, partly the result of slow economic growth and high level of unemployment. Empowered citizens. Citizens will be trained to understand their community profiles using Stats SA data and other community profiling data so that communities and individual citizens can engage with all community participation processes intelligently. In this regard, international case studies will also be employed to illustrate how other villages and towns in successful nations are attending to their affairs. Citizens will be empowered and assisted to clarify their true needs that can be fulfilled during the 5-year term of office of the elected council. Communities and citizens will be empowered to oversee and be well informed about all aspects of municipal projects, including procurement of service providers, material, and hiring of project staff. Communities and citizens will be empowered to monitor the financial performance of the municipality and the performance of each project month to month. Structures and tribunals available to the citizens to resolve disputes with municipality will be highlighted and made readily available to resolve disputes between council, management, and communities at a minimum cost without litigation. Local government, local economic development. The municipality will prioritize the industries that local people are already engaged in and assist to scale up, formalize, and where relevant, gear such business for national and international export beyond municipal boundaries. Residents will be empowered to be independent contributors to the revenue base of the municipality through the comprehensive development of skills, innovation, and local businesses. Credible and local grounded and responsive business funding mechanism will be developed to assist entrepreneurs to strengthen local economies. Strategic industries will be identified with 10 to 20-year long-term strategies to develop sound and sustainable industries. Local food security and food sovereignty will be encouraged and combined with other strategies to ensure the local population is able to protect itself from hunger and general poverty through collective and individual effort led by councillors. A crime-free community. Local government is key to combating gender-based violence. Local responsive services must be established to support and help survivors of GBV with medical help, physiosocial support, and shelter, etc. Local prevention measures must be put in place which are informed by test methods and which address the underlying causes of GBV at a community level. Prevention and responsive to GBV must be part of the local municipality's service delivery priorities. Local government has the most critical role to play in creating safe communities and households in which women, men, and children are free to live without fear of being attacked, raped, or murdered, or victims of any crimes. In South Africa, as of 2020, crime statistics produced by SAPS, 58 people are murdered every day and 50 cars are stolen every day. It is up to the local police to do active policing to drive down crime. Uproot corruption, which is a societal problem which dates back 350 years into South Africa's political life. Corruption is also deeply embedded in how business has been conducted in South Africa. In fact, those who want to rise to the upper echelons of unlimited economic or political power, influence, and capital opt for corruption. Therefore, corruption has been institutionalized and considered a norm in all new democracy, corruption networks start at the local and provincial level. Therefore, high-profile convictions, putting sanctions against corrupt business people and banning of accused corrupt from public office is a proven way to nip corruption in the bud. There is a need to bring an end to state capture, rent-seeking, quiet corruption, and everyday corruption. This can be achieved by introducing merit into the political system and public service. Those who are competent and skilled should be appointed. We also need to stop blaming apartheid for the corruption which is committed currently. Corruption must be punished. In addition, all political party leaders and economic elite should be exemplary. Furthermore, there should be local reporting facilities and anti-corruption measures. A democratic land affairs. Cooperation with civil society organizations and think tanks is necessary to understand and resolve the clashes on the approach to land reform and redistribution in South Africa. Foster a process of democratic demand and supply of land. Land resources must be harnessed to foster sustainable development, to generate labor-intensive employment, encourage small-scale farmers, enlisting the rural poor to make productive use of land. Apartheid curbed black farming to an extreme extent, such that South Africa is no longer considered an agrarian country, even though 40 to 45% of the population resides in rural areas. The economy needs to be reconstructed to be more agrarian and foster local development. This can be achieved through democratic land redistribution and land reform, breaking up the inherited white domination of white property ownership and the white monopoly on farming. There is a need to create a land redistribution and reform model that works unlike the current dispensation of willing buyer, willing seller, which has experienced little success in other countries and in South Africa so far. Establish an economic development plan in which rural poverty is addressed by land reform and redistribution. The current land redistribution and development program is making slow progress. Local capacity to administer and facilitate land redistribution and reform could expedite the progress. There needs to be a resolution between the protection of private property rights and the state's power to expropriate land. The environment and climate. South Africa has to transform into a low-carbon, climate-friendly economy. The renewable energy potential in the Western and Northern Cape must be maximized. Households should also be incentivized for building or migrating to renewable energy. Local municipalities should align their public works activities involvement with the just transition from coal to renewable energy sources such that the communities gain meaningful employment and skills. Education. There is a need to strengthen to local governance in schools such that there can be a more efficient management of schools. Improve citizen empowerment and involvement in schools' performance and to promote democratic governance. Local government should survey their schools and develop dashboards with regards to infrastructure and performance outcomes. The community must take charge of their educational system and bring it up to the democratic and international standards. So that is the end of the manifesto of POA. So in closing, we'd like to urge South Africa, as you can see what the ANC government is doing, it's all evident. We are all talking about it. We all know what they are up to. Let us gather together, let's be united, and vote for POA in these local government elections and take South Africa forward. I thank you.
Re leboge puo e tletseng dimolase tsa tlhago menontsha. Thank you so much, Comrade Gugu. You've put it eloquently so that this is it. Beyond this, there's nothing. Now you know what our policies are and what we stand for and what we represent. And our policies will be live on our website tomorrow morning, for sure. And again, we'd like to apologize for the cutoff that happened a while ago from our Facebook page. But now we are now live again, and we'd like to apologize for those who were on the cutoff of sound, or the sound that was low. We were aware of that, and thank you for those who alerted us that the sound is poor and low. We are now hopeful that the sound is back on, but if it's not, don't frown. The live or the full video will be uploaded onto our website too, come tomorrow morning. Our technicians were busy with that. I'm hoping that the sound now is back on track. We are now able to be audible. And thankful for those who are commenting on the page. It shows that South Africa is a very, very, very free country. We are very free. We are very free to do whatever we want to do within the law, of course. Without wasting any time, I'd like to call upon one of us who will just like to brush it off everything before our president can come and close this proceedings. We are hopeful that whatever that was said through this process, it touched something in your heart, as we kept on maintaining that there's nothing that's going to happen without you being part of that particular thing. If you are going to sit around and do nothing, you will only be a pointer, pointing at the wrongs but not fixing anything. Now we are calling upon South Africans, those who are willing to make South Africa a country that's going to be prosperous, because it is going to be prosperous, whether we like it or not. There are those that are going to come here and take it and make it a prosperous country, as we have seen in the recent days where Ms. Harvard was given the position within the Ministry of in Presidency. Now it shows that people from outside our country see the potential that South Africa has, and they are coming to exploit. But if we are not going to be the ones that explore our own country and make sure that our country stands out as the way it should be, we are going to be followers of those who are coming here in numbers. Without wasting any further time, I'd like to call on Comrade Kate Maboja, who will just going to brush off before our president can come and close the session, with now cementing and lamenting everything that has been said here and our stances as we have done so previously. And moving forward, we have just made our voices heard by doing the work that we have been doing. We released statements, we've sent letters to the president about our stance on this COVID. How can I put it? This COVID situation. I can just put it that way. This COVID situation. And we are hopeful that the president will respond to our call before the end of this week that is just starting today. And without wasting any further time, Comrade Maboja, you can just ascend, please.
President wa POA, National Organizer of POA, Treasurer ya rona ya POA, our policy head of POA, the members of POA, and fellow South Africans, I would like to say good afternoon all. My name is Kate Mabuja. I am born and bred at a village called Lukaneng in Limpopo. I am here today as a member of POA on good standing. It is such an honor to be here today to witness this history-making event. When I joined POA, I was touched by three-headed monster. That is poverty, unemployment, and inequality. As we know that our country is facing these long-standing challenges, as we speak right now. So I urge all South Africans at home to overcome your fear and stand up for what is right. POA is the home for everyone. Have a task to make a change in your life, as I just did. So I say all to South Africans as we are about to join our elections, so please vote for POA so that you can change your life. With these short messages, I encourage you all. I say, kopano ke matla. A re fetoleng maphelo a rena. Re fetole mo re tswang gona. Peace be unto you, South Africans. I thank you, Amandla.
Ro go leboge go menagane maitsho o itse go monate ha before o tswalla go nne le mme go mafelong o a tlo brushang everything gore a ilukise re lebogela tukiso e o irileng marona mme jaanong ga ke sa batla go senya nako ke batla fela gore mo president wa rona wa party of action atle go rema ka lohoko jaaka re le setšhaba sa gagwe ke a tshepa gore ba rotlhe yaanong ra go mamela sentle re utlwe sentle gore now direction go tswa fa e a ilebile ko kae. What direction are we taking here on beyond our local government election, perhaps looking into 2024, because 2024, no matter what, it's coming and we are going to take it up too. Without wasting any further time, I'd like to welcome our president to come and say his remarks and tell his people that he is leading what is now going to be the direction moving onwards. I'd like to say, our president, we'd like to usher you in and make sure that whatever we have said here, it is now in a rubber stamped by you and giving us a direction moving forward. In most cases, our president, he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to be praised. He believes that everything it is done in a collective. So I know that he's very shy if he is praised. But anyway, the time is yours, Mr. President.
Program Director, Honorable Leaders of POA, our Honorable Guest, Mr. Mashiane, members of POA, and all the citizens who have interest in POA activities. Kere golena kere thobela. Lefase le a senyega, modimo mphe matla. Modimo e fa matla baetapele ba POA kaofela. gore go tla go be le tshepo mo bophelong ba rena under POA administration bophelo bo be kaone for mang le mang. My name is Billy Nyaku. I'm the leader or the president of POA, Party of Action, that is registered at national level with IEC. I may be appearing good looking today, Halintebeleji on the screen. But what you must know is, there is no tar road, there is no community clinic, there is no community hall. Reasokola, unemployment rate is over 95%. Hence I say I may appear good looking, but my heart is bleeding because where I come from, almost all the villages in the country, poorest service delivery. It is almost a normal practice because our leaders have turned themselves into monsters. Barija, harned service reapalelo. You comprehensively analyze the political situation in the country. You realize our leaders in government, kidis lay queen, kidis lay king, are interested in good things, traveling to Paris, traveling to Dubai, to Mauritius, but in the country. South Africa has been dubbed as the protest capital of the world. If before lockdown, only protested day in, day out. Officially they call the clinic because you will have mayors. Baba di rang the party. Chow worth over 5 million. Ke hopola a mayor in Mogala Kwena a dirile party ya 2 million in the village. But Motseleng, there is no tar road. They protested all the time. It is very painful. Haradira POA because Berenyaka fame. Haradira POA because Bere Boregile. Haradira POA because Berenyaka Unova part. Yeah, the politicians in parliament, in provincial legislatures, in council. Huwima. Le fase le meka maoto le a senyega tsa diswaere modimo re fe matla go tla loka tlhono lo fatsa di leaders ka ofela tsa POA re ka ba mang ka ntle le wena. I've traveled nearly 14 kilometers day in, day out, to and from school, from grade R to Madrid. Go le boima ka maoto 14 kilometers. Le bona more le ba shounyana le re gane maybe everything is well. Everything is not well. That is why I established a POA, because those sense of the leaders in POA ga ba happy go ba tswang hona. O na le poor service delivery from their areas of residence. Go boima. Ke tsene go Chiga High School. Chiga High School is situated at a village called Mabitsela. I get to go from Lokane to Mabitsela. To and from school 14 kilometers. Come out. That is what, but there is a tide. Pula. When we were going to school, it was windy. Resna DJs, we had no jerseys. The time at some point we will travel to school barefooted. Only Wima. When I was fetching statement of results after passing matric, principal Awambuchisha, principal Mpiana, you are one of the brightest students in this school. I said to him, president of the country. Arna why? My heart was bleeding at that time. I did not want to say anything. I don't know. If you can dream it, you can live it. Right? So on my way home with my friends, Edwin Munyamane, Raymond Khanyao, Jerry Mkudu, Nelly friends, we are very close to school. But Raymond, I president, I did not want to answer him because I was emotional. I thought, whatever hore re sokola. I thought what's what mohaya ones kontiri, arne electricity, arne DJs, arne dieta, because it's about poverty. So Raymond had tears streaming down his cheeks. Because na khona o tseba hore ke bolela ka eng. So that was that. So the roads, because this sharp, they were flooding. We had to literally go to school on such roads which were in bad conditions. Mamota, when we are talking about poverty on TV, we mean it. When we are talking about poor service delivery on TV, we mean it. When we are saying this councillor is corrupt, this councillor knows fuck all about advancement of the interest of our people in the wards, we mean it. Because Renale, sorry, I don't want to share the microphone. So Renale, tangible evidence. Surrounding villages in Lokaneng, this Hwana in Lokaneng, there is nothing, there is fuck all. Same people have been leaders in these villages. And haone selo mamuta. You go to Mpumalanga, the villages in Yatswana, you go to township, Watswana fela. Because non-South Africans currently are taking over the economy in township, the economy in rural areas, the economy in some cities. Our head of policy made it clear in our economic policy that we had to make sure that it has a central objective of eradicating poverty by ensuring full employment, innovation, and increasing productivity of all citizens. Long-term inequality will be reduced by ensuring that the households own immovable property and productive assets, including all forms of land and family-owned businesses. Here we talk about family-owned businesses. You go to our townships, you go to our rural areas. The family charena are the only businesses. Non-South Africans are owning businesses. Our government is happy about that. Where to from here? So, really POA, we want to. One of our aims actually is to eradicate poverty completely in all its forms. All leaders of POA are still going through poorest service deliveries in their areas of residence. I talked about this a couple of seconds ago. At frequent intervals. Because aba join a POA because nebabona greener pastures. They have joined POA because ba sokola. Haba ya kwa bobona ha o ne ditsela. Ba bangwe ha o ne electricity, ha o ne ditleliniki. There is literally nothing, but yet you see our leaders in government dancing with miniskirts singers on the stage as if all is well. It is painful. We in POA, we embrace brains because experience is not our thing. So we need leaders with brains. If political experience was of paramount importance in state institutions, nothing was going to collapse. You go to Home Affairs, application process is delayed at all times because people are not interested in working. They know the leaders of this country are corrupt. Every day, they are implicated in corrupt activities. So the morale of the staff is low. So POA must jump in. We are ready to take South Africa forward and encourage everybody to take part. Our head of policy stated firmly that in our education system, all the citizens of the country will be creative, independent thinkers. They will be innovative and be equal contributors to the economy in all spheres of the government. If we are level more, we've got young faces in POA because we are not interested in political experience. We are interested in brains. So they've got brains, they look young, they are fresh. So if you check on our Facebook accounts, if you check on our website that will be live tonight, fresh young faces. So they are ready to determine their destiny. We are the only party in South Africa, if not the whole world, that stands opposed to COVID-19 vaccines. We believe the vaccines take time to develop, and with these ones which were developed overnight, they are not to be trusted. We have seen the videos of people with deformed faces after taking vaccines. We have seen on the news of the people who perished after taking the vaccines. POA believes politicians and media have been planting seeds of fear in the hearts of innocent citizens, and as a result, some perished suddenly after testing COVID-19 positive. POA is the only political party in South Africa that advocates for psychologists and social scientists to be given platform in the health facilities and media houses across the entire nation to work on the psychological needs of all the affected and the infected. The reason why POA has adopted this stance to stand opposed to the vaccines. COVID-Vac is a vaccine that was developed in China. That vaccine was shipped out to Brazil and Turkey. Local scientists in Brazil have discovered that the vaccines were 50.4% effective. While in Turkey, local scientists discovered that the same vaccine is 94% active. We are not part of the lost world. People are interested in business. People have been behaving like they are caring about the health needs of the citizens. That is a lie. Vaccines take time to develop. Vaccines cannot, under any circumstances, be developed overnight. Health facilities were in ICU. Health workers have been suffering. They were underpaid, they were under-resourced, they were understaffed. All of a sudden, they act like everything is okay, like Poppy in Health MEC in Limpopo. Just like Queen because she likes camera. She has done nothing for the people of Limpopo. She has failed dismally to transform health department of Limpopo. You go to all the clinics in Limpopo, and they function my nurses are happy. Every time you mention her name, the nurses, the doctors, blood pressure escalated to the roof. Blood pressure yaga eva 6,000 over 4,000. You know blood pressure ya go di 1,000 e are tswa go tsona. Ka mo go ile mo reng ba kwatile ka hona. So ke ka mo go ile ka hona, POA is here to stay whether somebody likes it or not. We've got over 1.2 million people who have successfully recovered from COVID-19. And I'm one of those people. Flu ya better. Re bola ka normal flu, re bola ka COVID. Flu you better mo ilong gore dingo dia blocker, so o ba le sore throat. How robege is too hot. Actually, it's too cold in your bedroom. When you go out, it's too hot. Out of the game. But because nobody is saying how na le flu go shwa or recover. Ona medication nyana wa how shapa di stimu nyana, body ginger, body lemon. But here we've got people who are not interested in recovery rate of COVID-19. All what they are saying, hey, washua. Currently, we've got less than 200,000 COVID positive cases. Marabana, I mentioned 1.4 million, 1.4 people have recovered. You cannot count me. Why are we not providing hope to the hopeless? People are dying suddenly in normal wards. Somebody tests positive today for COVID, but because there is no one who is dealing with his or her psychological needs, or sure, because their minds are preoccupied with death. Psychologists, so that is why POA is the only political party that opposes restrictions on religious activities. There is no scientific proof that you can only get COVID-19 at church. There is nothing. People go to casinos. People go to saloons. People go to the mall. If you go to any mall, what to pay out age? O sheka di 50 batho ba hoje, o sheka 25, o sheka di 30, o sheka le kana go ya sasa. We ipitse hore okay, ha situation e le so. Ba believe hore here you cannot get a COVID-19, but only ko kerekeng o ka e kry. We stand opposed to antichrist administration of Cyril Ramaphosa. Before elections, a few weeks before elections, ba tla go dikerekeng kaofela, ba tsamaya bo Apostol, ba tsamaya go Sion, ba tsamaya go tsa bo IPC, ba tsamaya go tsa bo Shembe, ba tsamaya go tsa bo Zondo, ba tsamaya go tsa bo Bushiri, ba tsamaya go tsa bo but every church by tsamaya, because now they are gunning for votes. But today they don't care. Churches have been adhering to regulations of Disaster Management Act. Why? Because public health system is captured by international mafias. They take orders from outside. We've got 2 churches in National Assembly that claim to represent the interest of religious communities. We've got ATM. We've got ACDP. Those churches were formed based on religious activities. Today the leaders are in parliament. They are laughing, ha 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 ha. So because it is painful. Because today the leader of POA because is backed. There is literally nothing. But I can never come to Gauteng because currently I'm based in Gauteng. I can never act like all is well. All is not well. If all was well, I wasn't going to come into politics and become a politician. I'm becoming a politician because I believe we are faced with do it yourself problem. If you are putting hopes on someone, nothing will change. People have been in power since 1994. We thought they could take care of the interest of the majority. Instead, they created a black elite. Then if we are sorted, we don't care. 350, our policies will be reinforced in all the activities of POA. Hence, our head of policy stated firmly that POA policies, programs, and actions will be based on empirical evidence and scientific logic, and they will be verifiable by ordinary masses of the country. Re a tseba hore bophelo ke ntwa. Bophelo ke ntwa. Mamotla re bone hore baetapele ba mmusho ga ba re rate. Ba na le pelo tše dimpe because ntwe ba e tsebang ke uja tšhelete ya mmusho. Re ka se lebale gore ba utswitše tšhelete ya di-PPE. Re ka se lebale gore ba tšere di-girlfriend le di-boyfriend goba dinyatsi tše e leng gore di owner di-car wash, tše e leng gore di owner entertainment companies, tše e leng gore di owner catering companies, ba di fa di-tender gore di kgone go provide personal protective equipment. Nagana o tseba car wash e la dikoloi monya yona šetše a kitima ka di-PPE a diša go dispetlele gore ba kgone go preventa COVID. Re kwa botlhoko re le baetapele ba POA re ra tsenela dipolotiki for fun. Re tsenetse dipolotiki go tšhentšha maphelo a batho. Ha o no mo re yang ga re ka se participate, so re boletse le many members of POA or ba tle ka di-idea because rena as a political party that thinks only those who are politically experienced can assume leadership roles. Ordinary South Africans, ge ba join a POA, they will be afforded opportunity to be the leaders where they stay, because you don't need qualifications to be a leader in politics. You only need a good heart. You only need to be there when people are in need. You only need to provide hope. You only need to promise people that you are with them through thick and thin. Make sure don't behave like how they are behaving. Today, ba flyer, ba overseas. Today, ba di molong, ba already cash, 1 million cash, ba reka di aparo, tša di girlfriends, le di boyfriends. Today, re a bona hore nothing will happen. So under any circumstances, nobody alive will stop us. In the history of South African politics, big legal companies, political experts, we are appealing that optometrist maybe supporting we are going nowhere. No man alive will ever take POA away. No one. The police already adopted accessible. Maybe tonight or tomorrow. Then because the remember, we are the only political party. We need to eradicate poverty in all its forms. We are saying this because as political leaders in government, alcohol sales. Now, when COVID-19, please, we no longer need you to sell alcohol. Le na ba bereka in SAB re khopela le enko hae ka lebaka la COVID. It doesn't make sense. We've got poverty already in the country. Some families are trying to survive. When our feet are more bona or inchase dijo ka mo ano. Those families had something to eat. Now they've got nothing to eat because of useless decisions taken by National Coronavirus Command Council. The council is useless because we thought our mothers and fathers who are caring, who exhibit a caring attitude at all times, South Africa already ke a country e leng gore ke yona e detileng ko pele ka taba ya inequality. Batho ba bantši ba o se bereke o ba khumana mo Mozambique ba o bereka ke ba eta pele ke bana le ba eta pele or ba batlhatsi ke bana ba di-politicians ba matlhatsi ba ba berekang in both private and public sectors. So ntle le o senya nako ke nyaka o mentiona gore we have been engaging President of Ramaphosa re mo romela message re re wena o tswalela dikereke wena o bena alcohol but re mone premier re filwe ngwanyana la ba re ke re filwa ko Mpumalanga re mone sa apare mask ko Lehung but they told us that Jackson Mthembu o khile ka lebaka la COVID na nka di premier a ya le kong la hae ntle le mask ibile a haka maphodisa 7,000 people in the country currently are sitting with criminal records. Kalabaka la hore be sa ba apare di mask yelo re filo re mmone se apare mask a ba tsena in the cemetery a haka le maphodisa a tshwarang batho a tshwara bana ba bo rena every day. So today is the beautiful day for all POA members because tonight our website goes live. All policies, programs and actions will be accessible via our website. Our policies and actions di tlabe di bonahala ka matlo mang a rata o ba a sa rate moloi a rata o ba a sa rate because re fitlhile ke POA e a gola ka lebelo la mmutla membership database o ya go dimo mang a rata o ba sa rate go re robetse o no ka ba 10 people ba join heaven. How sa o khane o ka tlhapa ba re mna for mo shijiwe batho ba 150 ba join ko Limpopo heaven hana mo re ta thiba go kae jolo our leaders ba prepared for such situation le ba bone ne ba le mo ba phadima o phadima a se ore motho na le chelete o phadima ke ge motho a gotsofetse ka se a leng sona ba gotsofetse because they are members and leaders of this organization. They are ready to move anything from point A to point B. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, all the viewers at home, because when you are shocked, because when you are shocked, you think because you are not used to the truth. Your leaders have been telling you wrong things. Then they told you wrong things over and over again. They told you lies over and over again, and you believe those things as the truth. So, some fellow political party that goes by the name of POA, which is registered with IEC at national level. It will contested elections will be on ballot paper. And no to vaccine, you must understand that I'm the only political leader in the whole world who was hands-on in treating Ebola patients. I was there in 2016, 2017 in West African nation called Sierra Leone. Really, people were dying like flies, but we were there because I've got compassion for the ill. But yeah, corona, I posed a question to some scientists that was like, why can't you develop vaccine? They said, no, vaccine takes time. You know, this is a crisis, people are dying, left, right, center. We don't have time to develop the vaccines. But today, because all these super powers, coronavirus, the vaccines is the way. Nobody is focusing on the recovery rate. Ge o treata motho as healthcare worker, for instance, treata for HIV, you know, in a health facility, you must follow World Health Organization guidelines. There is a document there developed by who? So currently people have been recovering, but who is not doing the same? We are expecting who to provide guidelines. Hore COVID re treat bjang. Local scientists have been banned from developing vaccine. Iran is developing vaccine, its own vaccines. It has stated firmly that it does not trust vaccines from USA, UK, France, because between 1980s and 1990s, France shipped in contaminated, HIV-contaminated blood samples. As a result, Iranians contracted HIV. Eventually, through legal suits and everything, France admitted to have committed a foul play. But today, because France can be arrogant at some point, it is refusing to pay reparations. Between 2018 and 2019, a study was conducted in Johannesburg, actually. American company did that. 500,000 males between the age of 15 and 49 tested HIV positive. Narai Puchar Nangani only in sub-Saharan African countries. HIV illegal deal. I always state firmly that South African health system is captured because local scientists are not given a chance and they are afraid to speak out. Because if you speak out, they will go for your jugular. So right now we don't care. We are afraid of nobody. We raise the facts. Things that we raise here are factual. Recently, South African Medical Council South African Medical Research Council said, we do not have money to develop vaccines because the government doesn't have money. Government of Cyril was able to amass 500 billion. Today there is nothing. If the vaccines were developed overnight by Americans, Europeans, Asians, why can't we do the same? Let us develop our vaccines overnight. We must believe in our own things. So, Kitla as leader of POA, I'm humbled to be surrounded by the leaders with brains, not with political experience. But probably political experience, the councillor, the mayor, the party 2 million, the party 2 million. So we stand opposed to vaccines. We want a minimized trade of alcohol to consider the livelihoods of the affected families. We want churches to be reopened because these churches have been adhering to regulations of Disaster Management Act. Like I laughed alone when I was watching online when my spokesperson vaccines are satanic. So no member of POA will take the vaccines. Vaccines are satanic. Amanda.
Kuka get la matla. Katia. No. Ko le boge go menagane mo presidente wa lekoko la batjha. Le nosetswang ke ba baholo ba ba nang le kelello e fetisisang. The likes of the prince Ntate Mashiane. Ha re tswalle motho go ntle ne. Le batile butso wop mara bjale e sa ba re bjala go iketlile go jewa go nowa o botla o tabogile. Hello ro tsa tshwetso no today. Ka gore bjale di policy di tswile gore banna POA kiye ya re ya go ira so le so. O tse tshwetso tloga today. He re fitla go LGE e bile gore o tsere tshwetso gore yana wa go bereka yang a ke ka o namela skepe se sa banagani the thinkers kana a gona ntho e phalang kelello man everything e etsa mo kelellong this satanism people ba batlis before go etsagala ntho e ba tsene kelellong pele ba nagana ba plana go roetsa so kana go so e rile kana go so e fitla last year March but now right home abale keto in history ba gaetso a re diriseng dikelello man let us think 1720 go etsagetse motlholo o tshwanang le ona o 1820 go etsagetse motlholo o tshwanang le ona o 1920 go etsagetse motlholo o tshwanang le ona o 2020 motlholo gape wa tla seo se raya gore there's a pattern of each and every 100 years something must happen ha ba etsa selo ka 1720 ha ba etsa selo ka 1820 but 2020 re teng re fitlhile we are doing something we are going to do something ha kelelo ya hao e le mo ICU ka baka la information A1 e tlang go wena e re bona se se wrong 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 internally your brain tells you bra you are in trouble o kena ka mo fridging wena self why isolate because of the information in narrow e tleng go wena we keep saying or I keep saying go bathong kere before any decision you take you cannot base it on one-sided information you can't when a person decides now I want a family it is because of this person who weighed the pro and cons high the good and the bad of having the family the good and the bad of buying a house the good and the bad of buying a car now we are being fed by the one-sided story, including our media. I was very shocked, my president. All the medias, all of them, they were very quiet when we said no vaccine, no vaccine, no vaccine, no vaccine. And this thing, corona is a satanic approach. That is why the churches are locked. All of them, they never even gave us an ear. We were only given an ear by ENCA at the time Mashaba Alwansana Lirona Anyagoretsela logo. ENCA came. Why did it come? It thought maybe this is it. We are going to crush everything that will stand against this agenda. But we became kopil. Without nothing. We don't have anything. Arna chelete, arna di fandasi. Kerona fela so. Because of the power of the brain. Once you know this is your stance, never move because you made a sound decision to be at that stance. Today we are making that stance again. Vaccine is going to kill you. That's a fact. We are giving you 5 days after you are injected with that vaccine. 5 days after you are injected with the vaccine, you are going to die. Look at this. All this time, they were saying all health workers will be the one prioritized when this vaccine is here. Out of the blue, they are taken off the list. Who is going to replace the list? Again, a report says 20 million Pfizer vaccines. 20 million Pfizer vaccines are being ordered, are coming to South Africa. More on Monday, tomorrow, 2.something doses, 2.something million doses will be landing here. 67% of the population must be vaccinated. They will start with the 10%. Guys, this is very important. Listen and assess. Don't live in fear, because if you live in fear, you will die by that fear. That is why people are dying like flies. We are sitting at plus 40,000 deaths related to COVID. But I can tell you now, I can assure you now, those people were not killed by COVID. They were not killed by COVID. Why did they take away the right of the people? Constitutionally so. Those people were supposed to meet because the Constitution allows them, provided they follow the DMA rules or regulation. But they took it away. We are still saying that. Vaccine, are nyaki, are batli, and rekasi dumeli. Hello, President Ramaphosa ha tlo go utlwa call ya rena and respond to our letters. Tla bona spook. Tla bona spook straight. Spook sone because o are lwelang. O are lwelang. Bon. We won Mashaba without nothing. But really the elections, trying to postpone you. We came out and said next. The elections will continue no matter what. IEC came out and said, the following day, IEC came out and said, elections are moving forward. But now they are busy now strategizing again. The very same political parties are going to challenge this in court. I'm telling you now again, the elections are going to happen. Whether you take this to whoever, Rona Yarulwelang, Ramutsepa, because Okamu. Before ke get na emotional. Ke tse hona mo ke be khutlo gonefa. Ra ba tla re leboge botlhe ba le gore ba tsere karolo. Those who took part and participated in this gathering. It's a gathering. It took away the rights, the delegates that were supposed to be here on this conference, where now they are now streaming with us, watching from their homes. This was a set time and date. It was supposed to happen. Like now, it's happening like it is now. It's just us who are making sure that we adopt these policies and move forward to the next level. We are going to make an impact in this world, starting from the day we started to hit Mashaba. We are going to hit them as we move along. Without wasting any further time, our guest, Prince Mr. Mashiane. I'd like to thank our technical team that made this possible so that we could stream. I'd like also to thank my family of leaders. I call them my family because indeed we are a family. We are joined together by this force or this edge to see change happening in our country and our continent. I'd like to thank you, my leaders. I'd like also to thank those presidente. Ba itshapile sefuba banna ba ke batla go ba akgola mo tirong ya bone e ba irang e tswile matsogo gore e be ba le mo ebile from time to time ha mo president a tswa bana le yena ba mo potapotile ke batla go ba leboga ke leboge tsotlhe tse le tsagetseng gompieno jaaka re simolotse mosebetsi ka go ba ditlhogo re rapela ka mo dipelong tsa rona re rapela satane tlisitsweng mo maphelong a rona e ba re ke COVID-19 le di vaccines tsa teng gore bona batho ba rona ba shwele ba bolawa ke nthwe ke message wa nthwe ba kena mo letshogong ba pallwa ko go lwantsha sosi ba tsamaile batho ba rona 40,000 plus ene ba santsane ba tlo tsamaya ha ile gore ha ba kgone go utlwa lentswe le aba utlwa lentswe le gore tlogela go tsena mo letshogong once o tsena mo letshogong go fedile you are done a re tswa mo letshogong ba gaetsho re nna part ya party of action le bone gore ha o tswile mo letshogong go etsagalang ke batla ka gore yalo re tse motsotso robe ditlhogo fela for di second re rapella ka mo pelong tsa rona gore nthwena satani wa tsamaya modimo wa rona re thusa a re fe matla re lwantshe satani ene ra motsepa re na le tshepo e tletseng gore e tla re beke fela e re tla be re utlwa dilo modimo wa rona o tla re etella pele tla re fa le matla le bokgoni bo ka gore tsotlhe tse re di etsa ka yena re bua ka yena re hema ka yena re tsamaya ka yena le ka mo kellong ye ke yena a re tseng sebaka seo fela e tla re moraga mo ra go kgaola broadcast e ke tshepa gore go gae ko o tsele monate o utlwile ha le gore potso e teng ka moso website ya rona e tla be e le live la tlhala dipotso tsa hao tsotlhe e bile go na le email kapo o latlhele mo page-ing ya rona re kgone go araba based on the policies ga ile gore go na le sengwe se le gore ga wa se utlwa ka go rialo ke batla go robe ditlhogo fela moraga mo and then transmission e tla be e kgaoga ke leboge ra leboga